Hey, welcome back. I'm excited today because I want to share with you something that means a lot to me. It's probably the best kept secret about vocal technique, that there is a connection, as I alluded to in our last video, a very, very direct connection between what happens here and what happens down in your body, all the way down in your abdominals. So as we know, the abdominals are our exhalers. And if you put your hands on your belly and you exhale, a lot of air will come out here and your bellies will come in. They'll really squeeze, right? Your bellies, your abdominals. So there are exhalers. Our breath, when it's open, when we're singing with an open throat, which I will explain in a minute, the air is flowing freely through your throat. It's kind of like it's a big open tube. It's mixing with your vocal cords, creating vibration. And there's no need for all that exhaling because the air is flowing. But the minute you close your throat, your abdominals will come in like it's an emergency to get you more breath because it feels exactly like running out of air. But actually, you ran out of airway. You ran out of space. And that is why the abdominals have to come in. So when you're singing, you want loose abdominals and a nice open throat. Oh, by the way, I am Ronni Sarrett Lederman. I'm a voice teacher in Westchester County, New York. Welcome. So now we're going to talk a little bit about what is the open throat. First of all, the throat is a three-dimensional space. So how does it open? In three directions. Common sense, right? But so many people don't even know that. So common sense. So the first direction, I'd like to talk, we can talk about all three of them. The most important direction that I'm going to talk about today is the side-to-side one. And that's the space we call, in Estill voice training, retraction. And it's just an opening here. So right above the vocal cords is an area of constriction called the false vocal folds. And if you made a noisy breath, you could find them. You just make a sound like that and you'll find all that constriction up there. That's right above your vocal cords, but it's not actually your vocal cords. So it's not like a noisy sound, but more like a breath sound. And so when you do that, that's constriction. So we want the opposite of that when we sing or speak, especially if we're going to like really, really speak like in front of people, like we were public speaking, that kind of speaking. It would be in a space called retraction. So the easy way to find retraction is the opposite of what I just did. The opposite of the noisy breath is the space of the silent breath. And for that, you could plug your ears. And you don't want to hear either the inhale or the exhale. You can breathe rather deeply through your mouth and not hear either one. That may take a little practice, and that is the space of retraction. And depending on how tense you are in here, the easier or more difficult it will be to find that. But most people can find it pretty easily. So another way to think of that horizontal opening of the throat is to think that you're about to recite "to be or not to be," or something like that in front of a group of people to be heard pleasantly. And so that would be the space of retraction also. If you notice when you do this and you make a noisy sound and then you make a silent sound, the silent sound will feel like a lot more air because your airway is open, and the noisy sound will feel like you don't have any air. So when you're closing your throat as you're singing and you don't even realize it, your body feels like it needs more air. In a desperate attempt, it will suck those abs in. And so you definitely want to never have to suck your abs in again. So the good news is if you keep your throat open, those abs, unless you're singing an awfully, awfully long operatic type of phrase, will never suck in. Of course, it takes a little practice, but after a while, once you understand that open throat and you understand the relaxed abs, the connection will start to happen. And that's extremely important to good vocal technique. So the other dimension I'd like to talk to you about today of the open throat is the vertical one. And that's the level of the larynx. It goes up and down in your throat. So if I were to speak to you in a kind of like belty voice, like a young, tinny sort of sound, like, yeah, hey, my larynx went right up. It just like went up like that from here. If I were to speak in a more like Julia Child kind of voice, like, "Hello, how are you?" Old lady kind of voice, it'll go down. So if I were belting, singing Broadway or pop music, I'm going to sing in a high larynx. And if I were going to sing opera or other classical music, I would sing in a low larynx, hello. And that would be just a choice that I'm making, a stylistic choice. You should be able to do both, either high or low larynx, as long as you have that space of the silent breath, that retraction going on while you do that. So that's the throat opening in 2 different dimensions, right? The third dimension is the all-important dimension that's going to be a whole nother video, by the way, of the tongue space. And the tongue comes front to back, and it can just wreak havoc. It can really have a big effect on your voice. It's very sneaky. It's very sinister, but it can be learned. So we want to control as well what the tongue is doing in your mouth, and it should, just a little hint, it should be staying in your mouth and not flattening down into your throat. So you don't want teachers that teach like, you don't want to lower your tongue. That's just creating a closed throat. So we will go into that next time. For now, hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free to visit my website, vocalfocus.com, and feel free to say hello, drop me a line, comment, whatever. Happy singing, and see you soon. Bye-bye.